Good morning, everyone. Exciting to be with you today. Isn't it crazy that we're halfway through September already? Um, this is an important conversation that I want to have today. I want to talk about some of the critical activities that we get involved in building our Niken businesses. And in particular, one skill that is often overlooked. In order of, if we were to talk chronologically, perhaps, about some fundamental skills that we need to go through and practice in building a business, we would agree, I think, that the starting process would begin with building a contact list. Yeah. And to continue building a contact list, that's the first fundamental activity for all of us. Um, and interestingly, as a side note to that, I've heard it said that there are only two occasions where we should ever be found if we are serious about building our business. There are only two occasions where we should ever be found without our contact list on us. One time, the first time, is when we are taking a bath or a shower. The other time is when we are going for a swim. Aside from those two occasions, when we are bathing or swimming, we should always have our contact list on us. When we don't do that, we are basically saying to people, my shop is shut. I'm not up and ready for business right now. It's interesting that, isn't it? I have found, as a father that does school runs multiple times during the day, because I have a kindergartner that starts at one time and finishes at another time, and kids in elementary and that finish at a different time, kids in middle school and kids in high school, all that start and finish at different times, that I spend a lot of my time set outside of schools. If I didn't have my contact list on me during those times, what an ideal time every day that I've got there that is being wasted. It's in those few minutes each and every day that I can pull my contact list out and make some calls. And that can be follow-up calls, that can be invite calls, that can be relationship building calls, that can be chit chat and conversation, just maintaining warm relationships, whatever it may be. But it's in those few minutes each and every day that we can make something count. But if we don't have our contact list on us, then we're saying, I'm closed for business. It's interesting that, isn't it? So let's keep that in mind. So that's, to me, critical activity number one. The next one is setting appointments. Of course, once we've got people on our list, we want to set appointments so that we can do the third activity, which is make a presentation, deliver that better way presentation and show them what we're all about, and of course, invite them to take some action. From there is that essential and timely 48-hour follow-up, where within the next couple of days, at the very latest, we're following up with people on what they thought of the presentation, what they thought of the product, what they thought of the opportunity, what they've done with the invitation we gave them, so on and so forth. There has got to be that timely invitation, timely follow-up to any invitation. And of course, if it's a new business partner that has joined, we've got to have that 48-hour follow-up within their first 48 hours of signing, where we're following up with them on, have they built their contact list? Are they getting ready to get going? What are they doing to get started? Have they placed their first order? All those types of things. We're working with them on those types of activities. And as they do, of course, we want to be celebrating success with them, don't we? And championing them along the way. So amongst all of these different activities, we're familiar with that kind of, that track that we get people on. Yeah. But I want to talk about the gap between essential activity number one, which is to continue building our contact list, and essential activity number two, which is to invite people to a presentation or to do something with Niken, to experience a product or what have you. And that gap, in reality, there is a bridge, in my opinion. If I was to draw them out, these essential activities, I would have essential activity number 1, continue building my list, and essential activity number 2, inviting people to a presentation. I'd draw a bridge from 1 to 2, and that bridge I would define or label relationship building. Relationship building. That is the critical part where many of us struggle, because we'll either jump over the bridge and too quickly jump to the invitation, because just because we've added someone's name to our list doesn't mean that they are ready to be invited to do something. Maybe I just met them in the supermarket. We've exchanged contact details as we were standing in the queue. Doesn't mean that they're immediately ready to be told about our opportunity. We need to build the relationship, yeah? And so sometimes in our over-enthusiasm, we jump and we miss the mark. Or maybe we don't jump at all, or we don't move over that bridge at all, and we just leave them on the contact list. Yeah, I've seen that as well. I was at a meeting in the Netherlands a number of years ago with a number of weekend distributors, and we were going through this, you know how I do this occasionally on this call, pull out your contact list, and we're going to start inviting. You know, get on your call, on your phone, text message, or pick up the phone and reach out to as many people as you can over the next 20 minutes. We were doing one of these activities, and so I told everyone, bring your contact list with you. They didn't know why at that point. And one of the gentlemen, I think I've told this story before, very proudly showed me his contact list. And it was about that thick. It was almost like a phone book. He's like, I've got hundreds, Ben, look at this. And he was really showing off, not knowing what the purpose of the activity was for bringing the contact list. He was showing, look at this. And, you know, really with great pride showing his contact list. And then when it came time, I said, okay, get your contact lists out, ladies and gents. This is what we're going to do for the next 30 minutes. I want you to find a clear space in the hotel room, in the lobby, wherever it might be. I want you to make as many calls as you can, set as many appointments as possible for the next week or so to show the plan, show the business. And people, the nervous energy kind of suddenly permeated the atmosphere, as you can imagine, as people found their spot and off they went. But I found this gentleman kind of doing nothing. He was wandering around the hotel room, not doing anything at all. And I walked over to him. I said, oh, what's the deal? What's going on? You've got this big contact list. And then he told me, well, I haven't actually spoken to anyone on this list for about 5 years. He had the list, he'd built it, but he'd done nothing with it. He hadn't nurtured the list. Yeah, so what's critical in this arch, in this bridging process from adding someone to the list to inviting, first of all, recognize that just in the process of adding someone to the list, they don't need to be ready for the presentation. Yeah, don't hold back in adding the name to the list if you don't feel they're ready, because we've got that bridge to build. Yeah, so add the name. Know that you're going to get the chance to get acquainted. Throw them into that list, okay? Recognize that adding them to the list, there is a bridge where we can build. But at the same time, we've got to build the bridge. We've got to build the rapport. We've got to build the relationship. I want to talk about how we can do that, because that is the part that for so many of us, we just miss out on. So first of all, I want to share some steps. I always like to share some numerical steps, some guiding principles, because I think it helps us retain it a little easier and makes it easier to understand. So the first thing, if we want to build the relationship, and this is focused on what we're doing here, is it's a mix, isn't it? It's a business relationship that we're developing. And I want to stress that it's a business relationship that we're developing. Why? Because I want this to lead to some type of business outcome. I want it to result in the acquisition of a product or a partnership in some way. So I'm not just developing a friendship, I'm developing a friendship that is slightly different. It's a business friendship. Yeah, and that has different expectations and parameters on it. So I want us to understand that from the get-go, because if we only focus on building friendships versus business relationships, when it comes time to pivot from the friendship to the business relationship, now I feel awkward. I feel like I've tricked them in some way. Yeah, because I built that friendship and now I'm asking them to do something for me, or maybe do something for them that they're not seeing coming. Yeah, and now I feel awkward. So we've got to manage this in a way that they understand we're building a business rapport. So let's start by how can we do this? Okay, first off, this sounds like an interesting approach. Over communicate. Now, what do I mean when I say over communicate? But what I mean is don't be afraid of communicating too much. That's a great way to build a healthy business relationship. If you're building that rapport and you're helping them understand that you've got a business that shares health-centered products or wellness-centered products, it's great to share with them a little bit about what you're doing, yeah, and let them know, and invite them to reciprocate. An important part of this is reciprocity, yeah, where they will share back. Invite them to share back some of the things that they do and what they're about. But when you find out what they're interested in, share. Yeah, so if you know in this process of getting acquainted that they have certain interests and likes, go out of your way to find something that will relate to what they're interested in and share it. And say, hey, I just saw this the other day and I thought it made me think of you. Yeah, maybe you find out in your conversations they like horse riding. They're into, they own some horses. Yeah. So maybe pull up some interesting information about horses that you discover online that you go, maybe this is something new, maybe this is something interesting. Yeah, and just share the article. Say, hey, I just saw this, just thought it might be of interest to you. Yeah, and it's just nice to stay top of mind and to let them know that you're thinking of them and to build that rapport. And then as the relationship builds, of course, you want to add to that things like if they become your customer, if there's a product out of stock, let them know it's out of stock. If there's a special offer on, let them know there's a special offer on. Yeah, let them know that you've got their interests front and center. And I think that that ability of ours to communicate becomes very, very important in our process of building relationships. Yeah. And like I said, it doesn't have to be all business. You know, what we learn about building business relationships is we don't want it to be about all business. So when I talked initially about saying we want to build business relationships, what I'm saying is it's a balance of having the human element where they get to know us, but that we also integrate business aspects too. Yeah. If we only do it all about us, when we suddenly throw out a business conversation or a business piece, that might hit them out of the blue. But if we're integrating and we're letting them know about us at the same time, then we're getting a nice balance, I think, between us and us and our business. It's that governing principle of social media, isn't it? I think all of us here, if I'm looking around those that are online here on the call today, I think pretty much all of us here are on Facebook, yeah? And if you're using Facebook for you building your business, you will know a governing principle for using it for business purposes is you will share some posts about your business, but you will always feed into it points about you. Show a picture of you and your kids or your grandkids. Show a picture of you on holiday. Show a picture of you doing something in the garden. Do something that helps people get to know you intimately in some way, as well as something about your business. So it's not so heavy on the business side. We want to get that balance. Yeah. And so from that communication point of view and building relationships, we want to get the balance of business and personal in order to build the right level of rapport. Point number 2, keep our commitments. If we're wanting to build relationships, a strong way to build relationships is to keep our commitments. If I've said I'm going to do something, do it. So if they say they're curious about some aspect of our business, and I say, I'll get to you this book, or I'll get to you this invite to a webinar, or I'll get this presentation to you by such and such a time, or I'll send out to you a product for you to check out. I'll get it to you by the end of the week. Do it by the end of the week. It's real simple. If we don't do that, if we break our commitments, if we're not someone that they can rely on in that way, then we're going to lose trust and confidence on their part very quickly. And we want them to know, when it comes to doing our Niken business, when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. That is really, really important. It helps them see what we feel is important in our business. Yeah, so understand, when we make a commitment and a promise, we keep it, we can stand by it, and they can have every confidence that when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And that shows that we value our company, our business, our brand wholeheartedly. So whatever promises you make to people, keep them. If you're going to be somewhere, be there with them. If you're going to do something for them, do it for them. If it's going to be on a certain time frame, make sure you do it by that time frame, no matter what. Yeah, really, really important. And this leads into the third step, which is to be honest in all of your dealings. Make them honest. And what do I mean by that? I'll give a real simple example. They ask you a question and you don't know the answer, because honesty isn't always about lying. Yeah, it's not about telling the truth or being dishonest and telling a lie. Sometimes we find it in the middle ground, the murky middle. Yeah, where someone asks you a question, you don't know the answer, but you want to know the answer. Maybe your intent is pure there. Your desire is good. Yeah, you want to know the answer because you want to help them, and you fear not being able to help them will damage the relationship. So you try to find some solution which isn't really the right solution because you don't know. Yeah. And what is that? That's a form of dishonesty. Yeah. The best thing to do is to say, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. Yeah. And in this business, it's really important that we can say that. Again, I'll share this story. I know I've shared it a couple of times. I'm a broken record on this story because I love it. But this is a great example of a new person in the business phones his sponsor. This is a true story. Phones his sponsor, who's a diamond in the business. And he says, he's got a particular question. I can't remember the question. The question is irrelevant to the story. He goes, I've got this question. How does this work in the business? And his sponsor goes, that's a great question. You know what? I don't know the answer to that. Stay on the line. Let me call my sponsor. And he calls his sponsor and he asks the question. And she goes, who is also a diamond, by the way. That's a good question. I don't know. Stay on the line. Let me call my upline. She calls the upline. Do you know the answer to this question? Yeah, that's a great question. I've had that before. This is the answer. And they gave the answer to the question. Let me pass that back. Let me pass that back. They go to the new person. Here's the answer to the question. Right. Afterwards, the person that was telling me the story says, Ben, do you think the diamond in this situation knew the answer to that question? He said, in truth, he did. But he was trying to teach the new person something, that in this business, you don't need to know the answers to all the questions to succeed, because we're a part of a team. We're a part of a community. And it's okay to say to people, whether you're brand new or whether you're an established leader like a diamond, 3 levels up, I don't know the answer to that question. But what's important is that you can say, but I do know where to get the answer. Yeah, and then you can get back to them with the answer. So to me, honesty is that principle being applied, that we can say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that question. That's a great question. I don't know, but I know someone I think that might. Let me get back to you. And in a timely fashion, we get back to them with the answer to the question. Now, of course, we don't want to rely on that principle all the time and be perpetually the one that doesn't know. Yeah, because that doesn't help the situation either. We want to have that as the exception to the rule, but help them understand this is a principle that can be applied. Yeah, so I think that's something that is really helpful, that as a governing principle of honesty, we can say, I don't have to know all the answers to the questions, and that's okay for building my business, and that's okay for you as well. Yeah, so let's do that. The other principle that I want to share moving on from that, as a matter of honesty and building a relationship, because as we build honesty as a governing value, and core value of what defines us, that means what in building relationships in business and personal lives? It means I can trust you. You're honest. I can trust you. You know, and sometimes that reigns more important in many instances than I like you. We all want to be liked, but I think it's more important to be trusted. Yeah, because that means that you are a person of character. And that means you're dependable, reliable, trustworthy, honest. And that goes a long way in business, doesn't it? So we want to make sure that we have that core value as one of our core values that defines who we are as individuals and in our business. So look for ways to express our trustworthiness in our business. Look for opportunities to demonstrate you can trust me. Yeah. And that's a way to help build the relationship bridge. Help them see that you are someone that they can trust, not just someone they can like. Because often, like I said, if we're just trying to be friends, we're just trying to be liked in many instances. Yeah. If we're trying to build relationships in business, we've got to make sure that we're trusted as well. Yeah. We've got to have that too. So the other point number 4, we want to keep in touch. Make sure that we're top of mind. Yeah, not just when there is a new incentive on, a new promotion that comes out, and we go, oh, by the way, email blast. Yeah, but we don't want to do just that. We want to make sure that we're keeping in touch in an authentic way on a regular basis. So this kind of goes back to point number 1, doesn't it, of over communicating, for want of a better phrase. Yeah, and this is the interesting thing. Right now, with COVID, we have less opportunities to be face-to-face in the way that we would like. What I would suggest is that where possible, if we can't get face-to-face with people, and sometimes we have businesses that are spread across the country or across multiple countries, yeah, I would say pick up the phone or pick up Zoom and arrange these Facebook Messenger FaceTimes and chat face-to-face with people where you can. There is this language that has come out now, which we've all probably heard, of Zoom fatigue. Yeah, have you heard that phrase that was given birth to maybe in 2020? That everyone jumped on Zoom and they all thought it was great, and this is the new normal. That was the first phrase that we got tired of pretty quick, the new normal. And then all of a sudden, oh, okay, I'm tired of being on Zoom all the time, right? And then insets Zoom fatigue. Well, what I found is Zoom fatigue occurs in the formal settings. In the formal settings. Yeah, if I'm on another webinar, another conference call, another formal meeting where I've got to present or I've got to be present, or I've got to have my shirt and tie on, all these kind of scenarios, people get fatigued with that. But what they don't get fatigued with is someone saying, hey, I just wanted to catch up and see how you're doing. I've missed you. I've missed being in touch. You doing okay? I was just thinking about you the other day because I know you live by yourself. And it's not easy to get out and about right now under the circumstances. Are you being taken care of? How are things? They don't get fatigued with that. What I have found is a lot of people, amongst all of the fatigue, are also very lonely. Yeah, there has been a lot of loneliness expressed over the last year and a half. Now, we don't get those needs met in formal settings like this. We can, well, in Nikan we can, because we all know each other. Yeah, we jump on a call like this, and it's lovely to see Sandra and Yoko and Connie and Barb and Leo and Pam and what have you. It's great to see all these smiling faces looking back, and I know you all. So I feel a sense of connectivity. But for a lot of people, they don't have that. They don't have that community. So a one-on-one chance to reach out and connect and say, hey, you know, putting the horses to one side and going back to my earlier analogy, how are you doing? I think that's such an important question to ask. I just wanted to know, are you doing right? And when we do that, I think we can build the relationships of trust, of love, of confidence, of reliability, dependability, super fast. Yeah. So these are my ways that I would suggest we apply in building the bridge from adding someone's name to our contact list to before we reach out, unless we know them already, unless that bridge is already made, and reach out and invite them to participate in a meeting or in some aspect of NECAM. If we want to build that bridge, we've got to recognize first that it's there. But these are the ways that we build it. We communicate, we share, we demonstrate honesty, we show that we're trustworthy, we're dependable, we reach out and we show authentic ways of letting them know we're interested in them. Yeah. And I know as we do this, we can build really wonderful, beautiful relationships. And when the time is right, this is the thing, when the time is right, they will reveal themselves. Yeah. We can extend the invitation, but in many instances, they will also reach out back to us. Yeah. And they will facilitate that conversation where if you're listening carefully with their needs front and center, you will hear the right message coming back that says, now's the time to ask. Yeah. Now's the time to ask. So with good listening ears and a big open heart, let's build that bridge between adding the name to the list and extending the invitation. And as we do that, if we're just, our goal has got to be fill the list, fill the list, fill the list. Always keep it on us, unless we're bathing or unless we're swimming. We've got to have that list on us all the time, yeah? So that we can use it and use it and use it. Because like I said, if you're sat at the school, outside the school, waiting to pick up your kids, you can pick it up, you can make a phone call and you can say, how you doing? I had just a few minutes. It doesn't need to be 45. It's just a couple minutes just to say hi and see how you're doing. That can make a world of difference in finding a loyal, consistent, product-loving customer or a business partner that says, I need to do something different. You're the kind of person I want to partner with, because they join you more than they join NECAM. Yeah? Because it's you that they join, it's you that they partner with, it's you that they connect with, far more than anything else. So that is key. That is key. So let's build that relationship, understand and see the bridge. And for some, it's a little bridge. Others, it's a big bridge. But let's just take the time and do the work, lay the foundations. And when the bridge is complete, we're listening for the opportunity for that invitation to come. And when the time is right, we extend it and we have a great experience with our people. So thank you very much. Get loads of people on that bridge, get them all walking confidently towards the other side, and you'll have a great experience. Thank you so much. I love you lots, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ben.
Thank you. See ya.